Conversations for Self. My name is Simona, and here is where I share my experience with healing heartbreak and emotional trauma. We all like a good story, and we all enjoy telling, retelling, rehashing good, juicy stories that have juicy details and that just have people hanging on to their seats and relating. However, there is a caveat to that, and that caveat is retelling your story over and over and over again locks you into the moments and the people that you were engaging with. Somewhere along the line, being a victim became glamorous. Being a victim became not glamorous in a good, light, but being a victim, excuse me, it felt good. And it was a good story because you get sympathy, you get empathy, people can relate, and it draws people in, and you get together, excuse me again, you get together and bond over our stories. However, what you think about is what you bring about. And whatever you're practicing and whatever you're rehearsing is what you're going to be drawing into your life. And it is going to be, where you're staying, the point that you're staying in your emotional, being, in your healing, in your being able to get over and get past, traumas. Because when we retell certain events, especially traumatic ones, especially heartbreaking ones, we are reliving that moment. And we really are, because we can feel those emotions. Sometimes we get re-upset and we're crying again. Sometimes we get re-angry and we're angry again. And then, we have the villain, the person who, was on the other side of it. And even if you're not telling it out loud, just replaying it in your mind gets you back into that space where, oh, I don't like how this person treated me. They were wrong for treating me that way. I should have said this. I should have said that. I should have done this, and I should have done that. So you're still stuck in that moment. Although it may have happened a while ago, you're still mentally stuck in that moment, and you're reliving that, you're rehashing that, and that is where you're allowing yourself to remain stuck, and you're leaving yourself in that sticking point. Again, I am not addressing anything that I haven't done myself. I am not addressing any actions that I have not practiced in myself. And I am not giving examples of how to get over and to get past something that, again, I've had to work on myself. Everything that I address, I talk about, I speak on, are things that I myself, I was there. I used to be that person. I used to be the one who gave my story, who gave my traumatic events. I was the one garnering, oh, that that's so sad, or you need a hug, or oh, you're so strong for going through that. Again, those temporary emotional props and praises that really weren't getting me anywhere, because my attitude was still the same. I was still reacting negatively. I was still living in a broken place, in a broken space. And again, my strength was in my brokenness. So I was not giving myself space to actually heal. Um, so retelling your story, again, it keeps you locked into being a victim. And it keeps you locked into a negative mindset. And it keeps you practicing negativity. It keeps you practicing trauma. And not only that, but it also helps you to practice in um, that addiction of pain, that comfort of pain, because you're reliving that sharp heat, that sharp feeling of, hot in the middle of your chest, that pain, that comforting feeling of, pain, because that's what we've been practicing in. And it's like an addiction. It's a shot of, adrenaline, negative adrenaline, but it's still very addictive. And it it really is something that I myself, I had to practice. Just like an addict, I had to stay away from it. I had to practice in staying away. I had to practice in getting away from retelling the story. I had to practice in no longer craving that hit of pain, no longer craving the trauma that had become so comfortable. Because again, that's what I had lived, and that's where my life was stuck. So, in retelling your story, there needs to be a point where don't forget where you come from, but learn from where you've been. So, I encourage you to no longer practice repeating your trauma, because when you repeat it mentally and verbally, you are actually putting yourself right back in that moment, right back in that moment, and you're reliving it. So getting out of the habit of retelling your story, and getting out of the habit of seeking, the reaction, the empathy, the hugs, the admiration, the high praise, for being a martyr. So those, again, external forms of happiness, those external forms of feeling good, again, it is how you feel about yourself, and where your emotions are is where your life is going to be, because where your emotions flow is where your life will go. So we really should be practicing healing, and we should be practicing things that we're doing to not repeat those trauma cycles, things that we should be doing to heal those stories, to heal those emotional set points. Start telling yourself things opposite of what happened to you. I was a victim. I was a victim here. I was a victim there. I was a victim of my circumstances. I was a victim of the situation. Instead, we should focus on, I got out of there. I found myself. I learned how to love myself. I do love myself. I am happy. I enjoy life. I attract happiness. I attract peace. I want happiness. I want peace. I'm glad that those events are no longer happening in my life. and I'm no longer unintentionally seeking them out, and I'm no longer unintentionally attracting them. Practice in that. Practice in being whole. Practice in being able to respond instead of react. Because you want to respond. Because it comes from a place of self-love. Reacting, however, not so much. Are there things you may need to react to? Yeah. The house on fire. A child playing next to the pool when they don't know how to swim. Trauma that happened years ago that still controls your life today. Nah, not that. We're not practicing that anymore. We're practicing self-love, healing, wholeness, and emotional intelligence. So, as I always say in the end of my videos, at the end of my videos, self-love, emotional healing are very necessary for a happy, peaceful, successful life.